Hello and welcome to another Studies in Magic. This is the Studies in Magic live stream for October. We're a few days late, but we are getting back on track. So I do apologize for that. The topic today is how to build a team. And this is a topic that is important for anyone in Magic. It really doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what your goal is. You're going to benefit from having the right people around you. I want to talk a little bit about my journey and how I've benefited from different people and how I understand that now. When I started out doing Magic, I didn't have anyone to help me. I didn't know any magicians the first few years that I did Magic. I didn't know any magicians. I started to meet magicians when I was 19, turning 20 years old. And the first time I met magicians, I went to the magic shop. They had a get-together on the expert at the card table, funnily enough. And there were about 30 or 40 magicians from Toronto there, and they were launching this sort of club on the expert at the card table, which quickly fell apart. But the first meeting was solid. There were many, many magicians there. And I went there. I didn't know anyone. I sat quietly. And somebody beside me saw that I had cards, and they said, "Wow, you do that really well." I was just shuffling, and we quickly became friends from there. And I started to go to the magic shop all the time, and that was my first introduction to magicians. I would start going to the magic shop once a week, sometimes even more than once a week. Sometimes I would go twice or three times a week back in those days. But I was young, I had free time on my hands, and I would go to the magic shop. I would spend every Saturday at the magic shop. I would go there in Saturday morning when the shop would open, and I would stay there until it closed. And then after it closed, me and the magicians who were still there would go out for dinner, and we would maybe even hang out longer. And that was my earliest experience with magicians, doing what we call a so-called jam. And the idea of jamming is very simple. You're just getting to know people, or you're spending time with people that you know, and you're sort of just showing each other things, working ideas out, experimenting, bouncing ideas off each other. That's very useful at a certain state when you are getting into Magic, and I think it's useful, from time to time. But there's only so much that jamming is going to do for you in terms of your development. Just because you don't have a goal with the jam, or when you're just jamming, and because there's no end goal, you usually don't get anywhere. There's no project, there's no finish line. So even though you're working on stuff and you're seeing some cool ideas and you're exchanging ideas, that's not what a team is. But it has its use, jamming. What this is about is building a team, and specifically getting people around you that can help you in areas that you're weak in. And I'm going to use myself as an example because that is, I think, the best reference point. And I'll use other people as examples as well. But I'll start with. Actually, you know what? I'll start with David Blaine. David Blaine is an incredible magician. You guys know what I think about David Blaine. I'm a very big fan of David Blaine. I really like his work. David Blaine is weak in a lot of areas. In terms of, he is not really a creator of magic. I don't think anybody could name something in terms of card tricks or card technique that David Blaine created. He doesn't create. He does a lot of very unique magic, but he's not a creator of magic. So oftentimes when he's doing these TV specials, he'll surround himself, he'll hire a team of people who are really creative in magic and sort of know all the creative people. So he'll hire, a Daniel Garcia or an an Eddie Marcus, or Marcus Eddie, I mean, Eddie Marcus, Marcus Eddie, or a Blake Voigt, or um, Enrico de la Vega, and or Michael Weber, and he'll and Paul Harris, and the list goes on and on. I mean, I could just sit here naming people all day, but he'll surround himself with people who he knows are better than him in certain areas. They may have read more than him. They may know different people who can make stuff. David Blaine doesn't really make props. Maybe he needs a prop made. He can't make it by himself. He needs to surround himself with people who can either make it or people who know somebody who can make it. For example, I can't build any magic prop. I mean, if I tried, it would be a disaster. I'm learning 3D modeling right now, but I couldn't make a prop. I couldn't make a functional stage illusion. I just couldn't do it. I mean, it would just not be very good. I know that. But I also know Jim Steinmeyer. Jim Steinmeyer is an amazing illusion designer, has designed the vanishing of the Statue of Liberty for David Copperfield, has designed hundreds of illusions. He works on Broadway and for theaters all over the world, creating illusions for non-magic shows, just stage effects that happen in the theater. And he is very well experienced in terms of building illusions and also knowing builders, knowing the people who to contact who can actually make a prop properly, make it look good. The best props that I've seen recently are from a team called Megas Utopia from the Netherlands. Their props are just so well made. They're beautiful. And, you do research, their props cost them $30,000 and they work with the best people in the world. But it's not enough having money. You have to know who to contact. You have to know who to hire in order to get the best job done. So if I want something made, I would do research, but before doing all the research for myself, I'd probably do a little bit of research so I know a little bit what to say and have an idea of what's out there. Sorry, my neck is just like, I think I slept the wrong way. Like, anyways, I would call Jim Steinmeyer. I'd be saying, Jim, this is an illusion that I would really love to do. This is what I know about it. This is the research I've done. This is, I think, how I want to make it. Do you have something in mind that would be better than this, or somebody who's made a better version? And regardless, who could I ask? Who could I hire to build this prop? And Jim would, he would think about it and he would get back to an answer. He would give me an answer, and then I would go from there. And that is a guy who is just accessible, and he is so good at what he does. He might, I don't know if he might be the best illusion designer in the world, Jim Steinmeyer. I think he might be the best illusion designer alive today. And you know what he told me on the phone? He said, Maddie, nobody calls me. Nobody calls me. People are afraid to call me. They buy my books and they want to work on material from my books. They want to build these illusions. People are afraid to call me and ask. I don't know why. So it's interesting. I just think it's interesting that we sort of limit ourselves. We try to do research on things, and then we just try to do everything by ourselves, where there are people out there in the world who would be willing to help us. That is a very specific example in terms of illusions. But what do we use in our show? I'm speaking from my own experience. I like to do mentalism, and I love to do close-up magic. So who do I know who specializes in those topics? Well, I know a few guys who are very good in those fields. I'm friends with them. Is it enough to ask them questions? Yes, it's good. But the single best way that I found in order to move things forward is to have a project. Even if you don't have the project fully outlined, assemble your team. Find the people that you want to work with. You have to make friends with them first, for the most part, because that's sort of just how the magic world is. You have to make friends with people in order to work with them. I mean, you could just hire somebody outright that you don't know, but it's probably going to cost you a lot more money than if you're friends with them and you already have that personal relationship. And if you do have that personal relationship, it still might cost you, but it could totally be free. I have a lot of friends in Magic who I've said, look, this is what I'm working on. This is what I need help with. And they've helped me for absolutely free. They never asked me for a dollar. They've never asked me for anything. Of course, I'd be willing to return the favor for them. If they ask me for help, I'm willing to help them. But that's a relational thing. You build a valuable personal relationship with people, and obviously those people are going to be there for you when you need them. Getting back to projects, find a project. The project can be as simple as a show, or if it's not a full show. Let's say you're doing a TV show. Let's say you want to do a show like the Penn and Teller show, Penn and Teller's Fool Us. You say, you assemble your team. You say, look, I want to build something. I wouldn't go onto that show personally and say I want to fool Penn and Teller, but I would say I want to build something that's really good and has the potential to fool Penn and Teller. That's a very high order, I think. Usually, the guys who have fooled Penn and Teller on the show haven't been doing really good magic. There's just been stuff that fools them because it's mathematical or something uses a principle that they're not aware of. And it hasn't been like most of the pieces that have fooled Penn and Teller haven't been great. But anyways, I'm not gonna go too much into that show because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about building a team. You have a project, TV appearance, a live show. Get a team together. Maybe you have a run of the show. You sign up to do a festival, a fringe festival, or maybe you have a friend who has a theater, or you make friends with the theater manager and they say, yeah, you can do your show for a weekend here. Get your team together, get them in the space, and work with them all day and night on that project. There's something about being in person with people and being without distractions. One of my friends, Luis de Matos in Portugal, for the guys who don't know Luis de Matos, he's an amazing, terrific illusionist. He runs a Studio 33 in Portugal. You guys probably know him. He also runs the EMC convention, that online conference that started back in 2010, ran for 3 years. And he literally, with the money that he made from his shows, he built a theater, and it's a fully functional theater. It has, I think, around 200 seats, maybe more. Not too sure. It's sort of modular. They can change the number of seats, but he has professional cameras in there if he wants to record stuff. And he has a theater, and what he does is he makes it available to friends of his. I don't know what the deal is with them, but he leaves it available so somebody who wants to work on a show can go there. They'll arrange it with Luis and his team, and they'll go there for a week, and they have the theater there, and they stay there, they sleep there. And the idea is you bring your team together to work on that project. And when your team is there in person, they're not doing their own things. They're not on their phones. They're not on their computers. They're not, doing their own things. You want them all together. Leave your phones in the hotel room. Leave your computers, unplugged. Just don't do anything but focus. We're going to work on the show. What is the show? We're going to talk about what the show is. We're going to talk about what the performance is. We're going to design it. We're going to design What emotions do we want? What is the story? What is the story that's happening? Um, what are the techniques? What are the tricks? What are the techniques? What music are we going to use? Who's going? How are you going to walk around the stage? How's everything going to be blocked? How's everything going to be choreographed? And most magicians do this the wrong way, and I'm guilty of this myself. I think most of us with a background in close up are guilty of this ourselves, although a lot of stage guys are also guilty of this. But the mistake that we make, and that's very common, is to do everything by ourselves. We are our own director, we are our own choreographer, we're the music guy, we're controlling the music, we're choosing the music, we're the script writers, we write the whole show, we write the whole script, we sell the tickets, we we do everything. We're a jack of all trades. And at some level I understand this. I understand the challenge of being a magician and how you need to be able to do all this stuff by yourself at different moments. But doing everything by yourself is going to take you to a certain level. Okay, it's going to take you like, I don't know, it's going to take you like here. But when you have other people, somebody who's good in this area, somebody who's good in this area, somebody who's good in this area, it's going to stack up. And the effect is the show that you build with them is going to be much, much higher than if you were doing everything by yourself, because you have the right people working with you and they're all better than you at their own specific tasks. You might not be a great writer. You might not. And you have somebody come in and they help you write your script. Maybe you're not getting a laugh at a certain moment, or maybe something should be serious. Maybe the story that you're telling is too long. Maybe it's too short. Maybe it doesn't even make sense. Maybe there could be a whole slew of problems. The same thing with music. You have specific tastes in music. You only know certain types of music. Maybe you have a friend who is working with you and they see you do that piece and they look at the music and they think, I don't know, could be better, could be better. You know what? Why don't we try this piece? Why don't we try why don't we try this piano piece? Or why don't we try this piece from this movie? Do you remember that movie and they had this scene and this is the music that was in the scene? Here, let me play it for you. And they'll play it and you'll sort of imagine it and you'll do it and everyone will sort of watch and you'll sort of see it coming together. When you're by yourself, and as much as I want you guys to be yourself, that's the penultimate goal, but you want yourself with guidance. You want yourself, but you want that to be checked by other people. And that's what having a team will do for you. It will just pull everything together so that it makes sense. Does it make sense? I hope what I'm saying makes sense. But really, having different people, maybe you have a friend who, maybe you want to do a trick and you don't know how to do it. And yeah, I mean, you know the techniques, you've read it in a book and you're sitting around, you're playing with it, and you have somebody who's really good at sleight of hand or somebody who's really good at magic that's better at magic than you. They're just playing better. And they just look at it and they're like, no, this moment is garbage. Timing here is off. This is awkward. I don't like how you deal the cards this way here and then you pause. What are you doing? We got to fix it. Why don't you do this instead? And they'll work with you so that the magic becomes better. And this is something that we all need. We're sort of all boxed in, and it is very hard. I think it's impossible to do a great show 100% by yourself. There's nobody, even Ricky Jay, and Ricky Jay is probably the most modern example of somebody who is extremely stubborn and who wants to do things their own way only, and who's also very good. He also does very good magic shows. But Ricky Jay does not work totally by himself. He always works he usually works with Michael Weber, Michael Weber, who's just an incredible mind in magic. Really, just unbelievably smart, unbelievably good. And he also gets outside help at different moments. I know that he's also worked with Jim Steinmeier because Ricky Jay doesn't. He's used to doing close-up magic and not really stage. He does like parlor stuff, but he's not. He's not a guy who often works with props. So he knows Jim Steinmeier is the best in that area. Who does he work with when he is creating a show and he has to use different props? He calls Jim Steinmeier. And because he knows Jim Steinmeier will give him good advice, even if it's advice that he doesn't want to hear, you need somebody to tell you the things that you don't want to tell yourselves, the things that you don't want to hear, the things that you don't want to see. It's a very common trope in magic. We call it blinking in the mirror. When somebody's doing a sleight of hand technique for themselves in the mirror and they blink, they miss the move because they're intentionally blinking or they're subconsciously blinking. They don't want to see the move, so they sort of train themselves to blink during the move so that they don't see it. Then this is a very specific example that I'm giving, but it also applies to the things that we don't want to see in general about our show. We don't want to see. There's a lot of people who don't like to see themselves on video. They don't like to hear the sound of their own voice. Well, guess what? Everybody who's watching you and your audience has to see you. They have to hear you. You need to man up and listen to yourself. You need to man up and also watch yourself. There's world famous actors in Hollywood, many actors in Hollywood. I think Johnny Depp included, who do not watch their own films. There's A-list actors who work on these multi-million-dollar films, the biggest films in the world, blockbusters. I think Harrison Ford is also one. They do not watch their own movies. They just will not watch their own movies. They don't like watching themselves. Guess what? They're wrong. Nobody likes to watch themselves. It's extremely hard to watch yourself because the camera doesn't lie. You have an experience of your life through your eyes, through your ears. And that experience is the stuff that's happening around you, but you don't have to watch yourself. And if you do watch yourself, you're watching yourself through a mirror. The mirror is not enough. You have to videotape yourself. It's so easy. Pick up your phone, get a laptop. Most laptops have a little webcam. If you want to go higher end, buy a camera, buy a digital SLR, and most of them have a video recording mode. You don't need the best quality. You can be filming on your cell phone. It doesn't matter if your cell phone is 5 years old, 10 years old. The first iPhone came out, 10 years ago maybe. Maybe longer than 10 years ago. The point is, you don't need the best technology. You just need something to show you reality for what it is. You need to see the moments that are happening in front of your audience. You need to see that because that's what the audience is seeing. Regardless of whether you want to see it or not, that's what the audience is seeing. So watch yourself, but build a team. Your team is going to tell you the stuff that they're seeing. You want people who are honest with you. You know what? I was doing a show. It was a while ago. I was doing a show, and there was somebody working the tech who was a magician. And I didn't know them well, but they were trying to be very friendly, very polite. And while we were doing rehearsals, I was saying, we did a whole run through of our show, a tech rehearsal, a whole run through of our show, and I did my piece in the show. And during the tech rehearsal, I can't see the camera. I mean, the camera is behind me. The camera's in another position. I'm focused on the performance. I thought 100% that I flashed, that I screwed something up in the show. And I was quite pissed off because I never do that. I like it's very rare that I will flash and make a mistake in an actual show. It's very rare because I practice and you just know what you're doing and it's automatic. So flashing becomes very rare when you're practicing stuff correctly. But I did totally screw up, and I knew I screwed up, and I was angry at myself. I was angry, and so I saw this guy, and I knew that he was watching the camera the whole time. He was a magician. I asked him, "Did I flash at this moment?" And he looked at me. He looked in my eyes, and he said, "No, no, it was all okay." And then I told him, "No, I flashed. I how did the camera not see that? I flashed." And he's like, "Yeah, it was okay though." But I said, "No, no, no, show me the tape because it was recorded." I said, "Show me the tape." And then as he was showing me the tape, you could see his face. He was like he was like cringing, flinching. And I saw the tape. I saw exactly what he saw, and I flashed like lightning. I like it was a flash. Everybody saw it. It was a huge flash. And I told him, why did you just lie to me and tell me that I didn't flash? I flashed. I knew that I flashed. Why did you? And he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, you flashed." And it's like, okay, great. Instead of, I know that I flashed, first of all, but instead of playing around and telling me, no, no, it's great, tell me the truth. And it kind of bothered me. There's a reason why I remember it. I remember it because it bothered me. Why would you rather lie to me than tell me the truth? The truth is going to make what we're working on better. The truth is going to make the end result so much better than what it was during the rehearsal. Why would you lie? Why would you say something is great when it's not great? And we see this in movies and with in examples in our own life all the time. It's a common trope in a movie where you have a powerful businessman and he's seated in the boardroom and he has this whole table of people who are working for him, and they need to come up with an advertisement, and he comes up with a slogan for the company or a poster. He has an idea, and it's the worst idea in the world. It sounds bad, it looks bad, it doesn't make sense, it's stupid, like it's just a bad idea. But everyone in the room is afraid of saying it's a bad idea, so they all say, "Oh, sir, that is a phenomenal idea, sir. That's a winner. That is a winner. We're gonna get straight on it. Another genius idea from you, sir. You're on a roll here. It's a good year for you. You're on a roll." You know, yeah, you don't want people like that. You don't want what they call them is yes men, people who always say yes to the boss. You don't want to surround yourself with yes men. You want to surround yourself with friends who are going to be savage with you. You want friends who are going to be brutally honest. I think I told you guys this story. I was doing my show in London, and I had done it a few times. It was a new show. This was a few months ago, but it was a new show. Most of the material was brand new, and I was having a struggle through the first few shows. I mean, I was not. I mean, I was doing it, but it did not. It wasn't tight. It didn't feel right. And I had a friend. Uh, I don't know if I'm going to name him here, but I had a very good friend who came to see the show. And afterwards, we went to dinner with a few magicians. Everything was very polite and friendly, and we had a good time. And then we took a cab ride together home. We each need to get home at the end of the night. We are staying in separate places, but we took the same cab, and it was just me and him. And he waited until we were alone, and he said, "Maddie, we need to talk about your show." And he had a piece of paper that he had in his pocket. He was taking notes the whole night, and he pulled it out and he started. boom, 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 hitting on every single thing he didn't like, every little thing he didn't like. And it was like an attack. It was like nonstop barrage. And he knows me very well, and the reason why he could do that is because we're very good friends. And I'm not gonna lie, it was hard to hear that because you're working so hard on something, and one of your friends comes and they're like, "This is not good. This is not good. You need to change this. You can't say this. This needs work. This," and just hitting on every single point. And as I said, it was not an easy thing to hear. It was, it's not something you want to hear. I think everybody, after they perform anything, they just want to, they're used to the audience applauding. They're used to the audience saying, wow. They're not used to their friend coming to them after the show and like attacking them on every point. But it was the most positive experience for me because everything that he said was true. And it wasn't things that I was seeing myself. I did not see it in the moment. I probably would have eventually gotten to it, but I did not see it in the moment. It was little things, many, many little things stacked up that I did not see in the moment. So he gave me the list. He said, look, I'm telling you every single thing so you can at least hear it. You're gonna go home tonight and you're going to work on the show, and the next show is going to be 10 times better than the show you did tonight. And I went home that night. I had that list, and I had his words, pounding in my head. And I just had to sit down, look at my show, and say, okay, let's get to work. This is what one of my best friends thinks. This is what somebody who's better than me in this area thinks. Let's work on it. And we worked on it, and we made tremendous, when I say tremendous improvements to the point where I was getting standing ovations in the middle of the show, unprompted, just standing ovations. But that's the difference having the right team makes. And he asked me this, and believe me, I'm guilty of this as well. He asked me after he saw the improvement in my show, just with a few days working on these problems in the show. He asked me, why didn't you call me so that we could work on this before you're on the stage? We're sort of, in the middle of it now. We can't do as much work. We're right in the middle of it. Why didn't you call me? And that was, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. It was a fault of my own. We sometimes forget how many people want to help us, how many people want to see us succeed, and there's a lot of people that are just waiting to be asked for help. There's people who want to feel useful. There's people who doesn't like hearing their opinion heard. You know what? Sometimes my friends ask me, hey, Maddie, I'm writing this magic book. Can you proofread it? And I'm like, yeah, I'll proofread it. Some of the biggest names in magic send me an email like, Maddie, this is my new book. Don't share it. It's not out yet. Can you look it over and give me some advice? And I'm reading this book. I'm honored that my friends are asking me for help. Why are we afraid of asking other people for help? People will be honored to help us. And that's the truth. And I hope that's not a grandiose thing I'm saying. I hope it's not, um, uh, you know, egotistical. People are honored to help us because it shows them that we care enough about what they think that we're going to reach out and get their input. Okay? So that is extremely important. What else do I want to say while I'm here? I'm just trying to crystallize the idea for you guys. Um, I just want to crystallize it for you guys, so you guys really come away with this, using this. By the way, I don't want you guys to listen to this unless you're going to use it. Listening to this is useless. All the advice in the world is useless unless you do. There's so many times that people have given me advice and I don't listen. I just don't listen. And I pay the price for not listening. I don't want you guys to make that mistake. I don't want you guys to be paying for this as part of my Patreon. I don't want you guys to be part of this unless you are getting something out of it. And the only way you're going to get something out of this is by doing. I don't care where you are in the world. Guess what? Right now, I'm in Toronto. And I'm just going to say it. Toronto is really bad for magic. We have horrible magicians here. We have a few good ones, but we have some of the worst magicians in the world here. We have people who I would never ask to work on anything. What do? I have a project. I have things that I need to work on. What do? I have people that I know from around the world. I make appointments with them. Guess what? I'm going to be traveling in this place at this time. Would you mind if we spend a day together, 2 days together, and we work on these ideas? I want to share my ideas with you and get your opinion. I want to show you what I have and get your opinion. This is what I'm going to provide to you beforehand. So you don't have to read the whole script. When I get there, you don't have to. I'm going to send you everything you need for yourself beforehand. I'm going to send you a video. I'll record myself doing the whole show. I'll record my ideas. I want you to understand what you're getting into. I want you to understand what the weak area is. I want you to understand why I'm asking for your help. This is what's wrong. This is what I identify as a weak point. And what do you think? What do you think? How can you help? Okay? This is the conversations that you want to be having with people. I'll give you a personal example I'm working on right now. I'll give you two examples. So I do motivational speaking in the US and Canada. I do it at schools, I do it for companies, and I'm used to a specific script for different audience. Different audiences need different scripts. Sometimes I'm working for kids at a school, and the kids are maybe they're in high school. There's other kids who are in college and university, and then there's another other part of it where I'm doing a speech and it's for a corporate audience. These are all businessmen. Most of them are in their 30s, their 40s, or 50s. They're different audience than the school audience, just totally different lifestyles, totally different mindsets, just everything. I can't be giving the same presentation. So what do I do when I'm designing these? I ask my friends, look, this is my script. Here's the actual script on paper. I'm going to send it to you as a document. Here's a recording of me doing my motivational speech. So you can see it. There it is. I want to do this for a corporate audience. And this is the audience. This is where I'm hired to do this talk. I want to make adjustments. Let me know what you think I should cut out, what you think I should add. Corporations want you to talk about team building. They want you to talk about leadership. They want you to talk about things that are related to business. Whereas for when you're dealing with kids in school, it's a totally different. The story is the same, but there's a different focus. You're talking about bullying. You're talking about the differences in people, so on and so forth. You're talking about different things for a different market, and you need to realize that and adapt. And you can do it all by yourself. And if you want to, I wish you the best of luck, because I've done most of the stuff in my life by myself, and I know what that's like, and that's what I usually choose to do. But I also know that things go a lot smoother when I open my mind to other ideas and to other people's ideas. I'll tell you, I was working on this show in China recently, and I had an idea for how I was going to do my my performance, and one of my friends I have to be careful how much I say here because I don't like talking about arguments behind the scenes, to be honest, because it's a personal thing and it's a stressful thing working different shows. But I had an argument with one of my friends about what I was performing and how I was going to perform it, and I got quite angry. I told him if you just want somebody to be here saying the lines that you're writing and doing stuff the way you want it, why are you hiring me? Why am I here? You can't direct my magic. You can't direct me. Uh, you're this is your specialty. My specialty is my magic. You're not going to tell me how to do my magic. And we got into a heated argument, and then and there were a lot of things said, things that I'm embarrassed about. I told there were things that I said that I regret. For example, I told them, uh, this is your show. I'm gonna do stuff the way that you want, but it's because it's your show, and I'm never gonna work with you again. You've hired me. I'm a professional. I'm gonna finish this job, but we're never working again. I'm gonna do stuff the way you want. I'm gonna be an actor. I'm gonna be a puppet. You're gonna put the words in my mouth, and I'm gonna speak it, but it's not gonna be as good. And these are things that I have said in anger, and it's very stressful. And now that I'm reflect back on it, it's regrettable that I acted that way. But that is the challenge of working with other people. And the truth is, we eventually did make a compromise, me and my friend, and we apologized. I told him, and he told me, I apologized. I said, look, it's been very stressful. I didn't mean to say the things that I said. I do respect you. I respect working with you. I respect your ideas. We're going to do a great show. Um, and I explained why I was feeling stressed out, and he also apologized because he was also very antagonistic at certain points. But we apologized and we made up, and because we worked together, we created something that was so much bigger and better than if we would have just been working on our own stuff, doing our own things. So that is another thing with working with people. You're gonna have clashes. You're gonna have arguments. You're gonna have people who don't understand your ideas, and you're going to feel at moments disrespected. You're going to feel at moments insulted. You're going to feel at moments as if you just don't want to continue. That is the challenge of working with a team. Um, there's really no way to get around these things. It's going to happen. You're going to be working with all sorts of characters. On another show I was working on, I won't mention the name of the show, but I was working on another show where people also, not on the magic side of the show, on the theatrical side of the show, were feeling disrespected. There were problems in connections, and one of the people behind the scenes got into an argument. They said, "I'm walking off the show if you're not letting me do my job. I'm supposed to direct this part of the show. I'm not. I'm walking out of the show, and you guys can do it." And you do have tension like that. The the best advice I can give you is to leave your ego at the door. Just sort of try not to become too emotionally attached. A show's a show. It's not the end of the world. Uh, Try to communicate. Be firm when you need to be, and fight for what you believe in when you're working on a show or on any project. But be willing to make compromises because you're not an island. Going to you're not going to do your best work by having everybody say yes to you. You want tension, and it's a balancing act. And some days are going to go amazing, some days are going to be horrible. But that is what working with a team is like. And Uh, Imagine working on a TV show. You know, you're dealing. A lot of magicians have stress working on TV shows. They have a vision for the show, and then they have a director, they have a producer, they have a TV company that is providing the money. There might be advertisers involved. Um, there's many different parts, and sometimes, and this is a real thing that I've heard from people who have worked on TV, that the producers will look at the magic trick and they'll say, "No, it's too boring. Oh, the cards across is too boring. Why don't we add some cars? And the cars are going to be speeding at 80 kilometers per hour, and then the magician's going to be on top of the card, on top of the car, and he's going to be throwing the cards at the car as it's moving at 80 kilometers or 80 miles per hour, and then the cards are going to magically go through the window and end up in the person's hand. And that's how we're going to do the cards across, because that's more exciting on television. On television, we don't just want to see the magician standing there with the deck and the spectator holding the cards closed or the cards in the pocket. It's too boring. Somebody's flipping through the channel, they're not going to want to watch that. They want to see the cars going and the magician climbing on top of the car and the magic happening at 80 miles per hour. These are problems that people have. These are real. That's a real life example that I'm giving. I'm not making up that example. That is a real life example. If you guys want, we'll talk privately outside of this as to where you can find that online, because that is a real thing. And I've talked to the people behind that, and it's just constant stress. You're dealing with outside influences. But the truth is, without those outside influences, those outside factors, that team, you will not be able to create the work that you want to create. You will not be able to get the footage. You will not have the money to do the show. You will not have different things. You sort of need to compromise in some areas. You need to build, first of all, before anything else, surround yourself with people that care about you. Um, that's the best advice I can give. Forget everything else I said. Well, don't forget it. It's all useful. But the number one way to go as far as you can is to surround yourself with people who really care about you. I don't care what the hell you're doing in magic. You're going to need good people around you, people who are good at what they do, but people who also care about you as a person and also care about your project. You want people working with you to have your best interests in mind. That's one of the most important things. That's something that I cannot state enough. I'm going to say it again. You want people around you who care about you and have your best interests in mind. And they will work with you on creating what it is that you're creating. You can do amazing things with other people. Maybe you have a friend, or maybe you know somebody who owns a venue. Maybe you have a dream of doing a close up show, a small, intimate thing, 10 people, 30 people, 50 people, whatever the number is. Maybe you don't have that venue. Maybe you just live in an apartment somewhere, or you live in a house. You can't invite people over to your house to do a show. You don't have the space for it. What are you going to do? Put them in the backyard? Maybe you don't have a backyard. Maybe you don't have a space. Maybe you know somebody who has the perfect venue, and you start talking to them about wanting to do a magic show there, and they love the idea, but then they have their own ideas, and they want to feel like they're part of the show too. They don't just want to give you the space and you just do whatever you want. They want to feel like they're part of it, or they have input, or whatever the situation is. You will have to cooperate with different people, whether those are people who are providing money, whether those are people who are providing space, whether those are people who are working on the show in different capacities, working on the project in different capacities. You want to make friends with as many people as you can. Oh, also on a practical note, if you are ever working on any sort of project and it's a bigger project, make friends with the people who are managing the food, the production assistants, people like that, because that is very useful in order to get the best food and to get the best food first before everybody else. Um, that's sort of a very practical tip. But I want you guys to, I really want you guys to not just listen to this. I want you guys, we all have dreams, we all have projects in our head that we want to do, and we sort of delay. We delay because the time isn't right. We don't have the right venue. We don't have the money. We don't have a director. We don't have a producer. We don't have the ingredients that we need, and we just don't go in that direction. We just wait. And I just want to tell you to stop waiting. Just stop waiting. Look at who you know. You don't need to know everybody in the world. You don't need to know the best people in the world. You need to use who you know and what you know, build what you can right now. What you have right now is what you're going to have. I mean, all you have in the future, I mean, you're going to have more in the future, hopefully, but all you have right now is what you have right now. You have the connections that you have right now. You have the money that you have right now. You have the ideas that you have right now. Whatever it is that you have now, and you need to use that now. You have to not wait. Just use what you can right now. Work on the things that you want to work on, even if it's not the best version, even if it's not the even if it's not the dream fully realized, realize that dream. Go towards it. Build that team. I'm going to tell you guys something. I haven't told anyone this because it's sort of a secret project. I am working on a project on Matthew Buchinger, both a documentary and a live show. This is a huge task. For those of you who know who Matthias Buchinger is, Matthew Buchinger, he was born in 1674. He was a magician with no arms, no legs, and he did amazing things. He played about 12 instruments. He was an expert marksman. He did throwing knives. He you know he did trick shots with guns, rifles. He was an expert bowler. He would be able to line up these pins all over the stage and be able to hit them with precision. He did calligraphy. He was a master artist. He did the cups and balls. At the ends of the cups and balls, he would produce little birds underneath each cup. He performed magic with cards. He was unbeatable with cards. He would do gambling demonstrations on stage. And he did coin magic. And he did other stuff that I'm not going to name because there's too many things. But he did all these amazing skills. And right now, I'm working on a show, and I have producers involved. I have people who are helping me. And this is a dream that I could just have in my head and not do anything about, but I want to do it. I want to pursue it. There's work that I have to do, but there's also work that other people, I need to surround myself with people. I want to do uh, trick shots with throwing knives. I need to surround myself with people who throw knives. I need to do research on the best throwing knives acts in the world, see how they are, see what's good, what's not good. What do I think I can use? Maybe this is going to inspire me. I need to look at it. I need to look at calligraphy. I need to look at it, see people who are the best calligraphers today. What makes calligraphy interesting? What makes it beautiful? What would make it interesting as a live experience? Who can I meet that can teach me how to sit down and practice calligraphy? And I have a list of people in all these different areas: person for music, person for calligraphy, person for knife throwing, person for bowling, person for coin magic. David Roth is my coin magic guy. David Roth is my coin magic guy. uh, different people that I can approach, say, look, this is the techniques that I can do. This is what I can do. Where can I go from here? And then we sit down and we work on it. And it's not an easy process. No project is easy, but you got to start somewhere. You got to build a team together. When you're done this live stream, I want you, as an exercise, and I want you guys to actually do this, but get a piece of paper, get a pen, write down a project. I don't know if it's a live show. I don't know if it's a TV show that you want to do that you never think you could make. I don't know if it's a web series. I don't know if it's maybe it's a set that you want to do at a bar or restaurant. Whatever your project is, get a paper and a pen. Put a title on that project. It doesn't need a proper title. Just put whatever the project is called, whatever the project is, on the top. Start making a list of what you need, who you know, who can help you, and start building that team. Start putting the pieces together, and you will walk out with ideas. The next step after that, contact the people, start working things out. Hey, I'm working on doing this set of close-up magic. I set it up with this bar owner. He's gonna let me come in once a week, every single Wednesday night in between 7 and 9 o'clock. I can walk around and do magic at the tables at this bar or restaurant. Would you mind coming in for the next 3 weeks or the next month? Just every single Wednesday, you just come in, you'll sit over there and you'll eat or drink. Don't worry, I'll pay for your food. You just come, sit down, invite somebody over, have a conversation, whatever, but just watch me perform the magic. Tell me what's good, tell me what's not good. What do you think about the way I'm approaching the tables? What do you think about, when I do this technique here, the reveal, whatever it is? Start building that team. Look at who you can trust, build that relationship with them. Choose a project. The project needs money. Find somebody who knows investors. Find somebody who knows about money. Tell them about it. Work. Just work. Just find the project. Find what you love. And this is an exercise. Please do this. I mean, nothing would make me happier if you did this. Get a piece of paper. Write it down. Write down the people you need. What you need. Figure out how to do it. It's not impossible. No one's going to do it for you. You can have the same ideas in your head for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and not do anything about it. And the longer you wait, it's not going to happen by itself. You'll just be killing time. So do it. Do it right now. Today is all you have. I mean, you only have today. Start working on it. This was a real studies in magic. This was an intense one. I hope I wasn't too rough with you guys. I'm not being rough right now, to be honest. I just want to tell you things that you need to hear, and I want you to surround yourself with people who tell you what you need to hear, the right people giving you the right advice. I don't want you to surround yourself with people who aren't going anywhere, who aren't interested in doing anything. Surround yourself with people who want to go places, who want to do things, and then do the things that you want to do. And you'll just have a much better life for it. You'll be much happier day to day. Guys, as usual, I want to thank you for watching this. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy spending this time with you. We are all caught up. Yesterday, I did a live stream on Absolute Magic by Darren Brown. That was November's book club. We're going to do another Studies in Magic at the end of this month, the end of November. It's going to be sleight of hand based just because we've been doing theory, and I want to get back to doing magic performance and techniques and tricks with you guys. So in a few weeks, the next Studies in Magic will be on a trick or technique. I'm not too sure which one yet, but I have a list of ideas, so I'm going to choose the one that feels right. and present that with you guys. And I will see you guys in a few weeks. I hope you guys are enjoying this, and thank you for following this as we approach the end of the year. Have a good day, good week. See ya. Bye.